story here on NBA Today. Our Lakers reporter Dave McMenamin reported that Luka Doncic plans to play Tuesday in Phoenix against the Suns, a source told ESPN. It'll be Doncic's preseason debut. Lakers coach J.J. Redick said Doncic will play in 2 out of the Lakers' final 3 preseason games. So, Brian, Luka's playing tomorrow, but no reports on Wednesday's game against his former team. What do you expect from him this preseason?
Well, I don't know, but I would find it doubtful that he's going to play in the back-to-back, even though the Wednesday game against Dallas, which is on ESPN.
Would be nice. Would be nice.
They play finished Friday across the street against the Kings, so I think there's a decent chance the plan for Luka would be tomorrow and then Friday. Look, they need some offense. They need the offense to get going without LeBron. And so, you know, the Lakers have the longest preseason of any team in the league. They play 6 games. So it's not that big of a deal that Luka doesn't play till now. But one of the things that we heard JJ say very clearly was he wanted championship shape. So Luka came back in good condition. Let's see the speed at which he plays with. Austin Reaves, I will say this, has had 2 excellent preseason games. He's played in 2. He scored 20 in both of them. He's looked very, very good. The Luka-Austin Reaves backcourt, even without LeBron James, could be very powerful to start the season.
I'm very intrigued and interested to see how DeAndre Ayton does this season. You know, in 2018, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody batted an eye when Ayton got picked over Luka.
I don't know about nobody. I'll push back on that.
No, it sounds good now.
No.
But nobody that day really. Maybe a few.
It wasn't a controversial pick.
No. And so, you know, people are fascinated about who the next great center is, and he's shown flashes, but over the last 2 seasons, maybe in the last 3 seasons, he's digressed. Not scored. People question his effort and wondered if he could ever be the guy that you expected him to be. Now, the spotlight that he's in is the same spotlight he was in when the Suns were in the finals. There's going to be somebody watching him every day. Putting on a Laker uniform is different. He's playing with LeBron. He's playing with Luka. I think that there's going to be tremendous pressure on Ayton to live up to what he could potentially do. And if he could, Ayton to live up what he could potentially do. And if he is that player, if he could rebound, if he could average 20, if he could do well in pick and rolls, he is the X factor that could potentially help the Lakers have a
lot of ifs, I would imagine. I would agree. Now,
but here's possible.
Maybe.
It is possible.
We'll see.
I believe in him.
I'm glad somebody does. And JJ, I'm sure will, as we get into the season. Bobby, one thing that stuck out to me from that video we saw there was JJ telling the guys to communicate. Talk. You heard him say that. And that's on defense. We've had a lot of talk about offense here on this panel. What about the defense?
Well, their defense is going to keep them above water until LeBron gets back. That's the big thing that I'm going to pay attention to. We saw glimpses after the Luka trade of this team being a really good defensive team, certainly middle of the pack overall there. I'm concerned, where are they going to get the offense from? And that's why I say defense for this Lakers team to be above 500 when LeBron gets back, sometime in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
So, without, let's say LeBron, he's not going to play to start the season, but we don't know how long he'll be out. This West is hard. It's not forgiving, Brian. So you cannot afford to come out slow out of the gates if you're anybody, let alone the Lakers.
The difference between the Lakers being the 3 seed and being in the play-in last year was 2 games. So keep that in mind when you have a bad 5 or 8 game stretch. The one thing I'll say about the Lakers, they're a lot healthier now than they were a year ago. I know that LeBron is not going to start the season healthy. Jared Vanderbilt is back and much bigger impact defensively that he can bring.
Looked good in the preseason game against the Warriors the other night.
And Gabe Vincent, who was out a bunch early last season. Gabe Vincent's had a couple of really good games. And look, let's see Luka with this more slimmed down figure. Let's see how he defends. I have low expectations there. I think you ask him to dominate on the offensive end. You ask him to be passable on defense. But in theory, he should be more agile defensively.
Yeah, look, I think there's no question that that's something. And here's the other thing I think. If this is going to be Luka's team here moving forward, right? And it is kind of now, right? I also feel like he could work on his leadership too, right? Being more vocal. He's a lead by example guy. At some point, you got to take the reins.
Things off the court, like taking the guys.
Right, the Porsche thing, that's a good start.
I hadn't heard any of that in Dallas.
Right.
So
Yeah, he's looked fantastic for sure. And that's not even anything we've seen on the defensive end where he's been great too. DeAndre Ayton was a force against the Warriors on Sunday, had 14, 8, and 5 with 2 steals and a block. That was all without Luka. Brian, how important is Ayton to this team?
Well, the 5 assists were pretty impressive. They're going to put the ball in his hands and ask him to make some plays. That's definitely a new look for him. Look, guys, he has put up numbers since the moment he stepped onto the floor as a rookie. He will get points and rebounds. What you want from him is what you can't always see in the box score. Loose rebounds that he can get to. He doesn't always get there. Making plays on the defensive end, getting himself in position. That's what you want to see from him this year.
Finally, we have a Joel Embiid sighting on Sunday at the Sixers blue and white scrimmage. Embiid was a full participant in the game, including dunking here. After the game, Nick Nurse said he shot the ball well, he scored well, he orchestrated the offense well. I thought he ran pretty good as well in both directions. All right. So, Bryant, how much do you expect from Embiid this season?
Well, this certainly amped it up a little bit because, you know, he had been working out and practicing a little bit, but they've been so cautious. And I get that because they're just so nervous about putting a time frame on anything, not just publicly, because obviously the fans have been through so much, but also with Joel. Like, they don't want to put too much on him. So this was an important, I don't know if I've ever said these words. This was an important step in an open scrimmage. Usually these open scrimmages this team have, they're nothing burgers.
It's public. Yep. They put him out there publicly.
They did, and I think he wanted to sort of just dip his toe back in the water. So the next step is Friday. They have their last preseason game. Let's see if he feels confident enough to go out there. Here's the truth. The truth is, last year Embiid was able to do next to nothing in the preseason. He was that knee was acting up. They didn't really know why. It set the stage for him having a miserable and ineffective season. This year, they've protected him, and he's had a positive preseason, even though it hasn't happened in front of the cameras as much. So, I don't know, maybe it's a different story this year, but I'm very cautious about making any assumptions.
You know, 20 years ago, there was a center by the name of Yao Ming who, you know, Brian, you knows this. I thought he was snatching the torch from Shaq. He was incredible inside, outside, rebounding, blocking shots, and then his body failed him. You know, you know the stories of Samson and Walton and, you know, Odin, but Yao Ming was different. There was success there. And that's been my fear about Joel Embiid. I don't want him to be the next Yao Ming where we'll sit there 5-10 years from now and wonder, like, how good could this guy have been? He was MVP and he was on the rise to stardom and his body failed him. So yesterday was a great sign. I hope he's not going in that direction. You know, we know the back-to-back thing, but I definitely don't want him to be the next Yao Ming. I want him to hopefully overcome his injury woes.
Bobby, big if here, but if he's healthy, what does that mean for this Sixers team in the East?
Well, listen, if he's healthy and Paul George is healthy, then we're talking about this team like we did last summer as a team that can contend in the Eastern Conference, a more wide open Eastern Conference than it was a year ago here. But as both Mark and Brian said, I think we have to look at Joel Embiid as day-to-day for the rest of his career, just based on his injury history. But I will say this, based on what happened Thursday night with the Phillies and certainly the Eagles, this was a breath of fresh air if you are a Philadelphia sports fan.
It has been a rough go recently for Philadelphia fans. Although, look, man, the Eagles won a Super Bowl. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit.
JJ Redick, Lakers taking a cautious approach with LeBron James ahead of his 23rd season. The Los Angeles Lakers officially kicked off training camp on Tuesday, but one major name was missing from the court, LeBron James. Head coach JJ Redick explained after practice that LeBron is dealing with a minor nerve irritation in his glute, and given that he's heading into his unprecedented 23rd NBA season at age 40, the team is taking a deliberate and careful approach to his ramp-up during camp and preseason. It's probably going to be a longer runway leading up to opening night, Redick said. We're in uncharted territory here. After talking with the staff and with LeBron, we all agreed he may have pushed a little too hard in last year's training camp. And for me, as a first-year coach, having his full buy-in was incredible. But this year, we're being more methodical. He's got 22 seasons of wear and tear, and right now, he's dealing with a slight nerve irritation. So we're thinking long-term. There's really no blueprint for what LeBron is doing. No one has ever played 23 seasons in the NBA at this level. But what Redick is doing now is learning from how things were handled last season and adjusting to make sure the Lakers have their leader healthy and ready for the stretch that truly matters, the regular season and beyond. You're going to hear me say this a lot. It's uncharted territory, Redick emphasized. There's no roadmap for a player who's logged this many minutes, carried this much responsibility on both ends of the floor, for this long. We asked a lot from him last year, especially early in camp, and now we're working together to find what truly works best. The good news? LeBron is fully aligned with the plan. Everyone, from the coaching staff to the medical team, is on the same page. Still, there's no confirmation yet on whether the plan includes LeBron suiting up for any of the Lakers' 6 preseason games. It'd be great if he did. Of course, Redick admitted. We'd love to see it. But if not, we'll make it work. While seeing LeBron in preseason action would certainly help build chemistry, especially alongside Luka Doncic and the other new starters, health comes first. The Lakers are making it clear, this season is a marathon, not a sprint. LeBron on training camp plans. We'll figure it out. When LeBron James spoke at Lakers Media Day, he echoed Redick's approach. It's all about being smart, not rushing, and staying engaged. We're still figuring it out, LeBron told ESPN when asked about his camp and preseason availability. Of course, I want to be on the floor as much as possible, but we all know where I'm at, physically and mentally, and the coaching staff knows it too. We just want to make sure we're aligned when the time comes to step on the court. This is year 23 for me. I've made huge strides this off-season. I've been training all summer. But even when I'm not on the court, I'm still locked in. I'm tuned into everything we're building. That's what matters most. As training camp progresses, the Lakers' approach with LeBron has sparked discussion across the league. While some fans are eager to see James back on the court as soon as possible, most analysts agree that the team is making the right call by managing his workload from day one. Inside the organization, the message is clear: preserving LeBron's health and effectiveness over the course of an 82-game season, and potentially a deep playoff run, is far more important than a strong start in October. The decision to ease him in slowly isn't just about his age, but about sustainability. The Lakers are building their strategy around maximizing his impact when it matters most. Beyond LeBron, this also gives new head coach J.J. Redick a valuable opportunity to assess the rest of the roster more closely. With James sitting out portions of training camp and potentially the preseason, younger players and recent acquisitions are getting extended reps in practice, a crucial factor as Redick shapes his rotation and offensive system. Reports from camp indicate that Redick has already started experimenting with lineups that don't rely solely on LeBron initiating the offense. That includes more touches for Luka Doncic in primary ball-handling situations, as well as a larger role for supporting pieces like Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura. The hope is that, by spreading the responsibility, the Lakers can reduce the physical burden on James while improving overall team fluidity. LeBron's role off the court has also taken on new importance. Several teammates and staff members have noted how engaged he's been despite limited on-court participation, constantly communicating, observing drills closely, and offering feedback to younger players. It's a continuation of his evolution into more of a mentor figure, one who still leads by example but also understands the power of his presence and voice in building team culture. Around the league, other teams are taking notice. The cautious strategy mirrors what the Spurs did in the later years of Tim Duncan's career, or what Miami has done with Jimmy Butler in recent seasons, prioritizing long-term readiness over short-term gains. In LeBron's case, the stakes are even higher. Not only is he still playing at an elite level in year 23, but the team around him has been reshaped to support one final push toward another championship. As for LeBron himself, he remains focused and optimistic. Speaking briefly to reporters after Media Day, he emphasized his commitment to doing whatever is needed, whether that means leading on the court, guiding from the sidelines, or stepping back when necessary to ensure his body holds up for the full campaign. The question now becomes how this slower ramp-up will affect the Lakers' early season performance. Will the chemistry develop fast enough? Can the team find its rhythm without relying too heavily on James in October and November? And when he does return in full, will the calculated patience pay off? One thing is clear, the Lakers and LeBron are thinking bigger than just the next game. They're thinking about April, about June, about legacy. And in year 23, every decision matters that much more.